Sometimes the only way to learn is the hard way. What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another episode on Tron's Archive. Grab a coffee, grab some food. I'm trying not to condone eating food and watching YouTube. Enjoy the food, but if you are watching YouTube, watch something good, and this is good. I'm currently filming this on April the 5th, and it's a Sunday, and it's an Easter Sunday. So happy Easter to everybody who's watching. For those who celebrate it. If you don't celebrate it, it's a beautiful day to be alive. Stay grateful. We've got a cool video style today. I'll be honest, this is the second time I'm filming this because my phone ran out of storage. We're not using the camera today, we're on the phone. And my phone ran out of storage about like 12 minutes in. But I will restart. There's a meaning behind everything, I think, and we'll restart. And I think I have a clearer view. My coffee's finished now, so if I start ranting, you'll understand why. But yeah, we've got a pretty cool video planned for today. The title and the main point is sometimes the only way to learn is the hard way. And so what I've done is I've actually prompted AI to give me questions to answer. I know, get away. I feel you're glaring at me. I hate AI too. But I'm not using ChatGPT. Stay away from ChatGPT. We're boycotting ChatGPT. Don't use it. I'm actually using, I'll link it down in the description. It's actually a chatbot LLC called Perplexity. And it's essentially like ChatGPT, but it's a lot better. It actually gives you like sources as to where it finds it, so it's a little bit more reliable to use. And it obviously doesn't actually aid and support the genocide. So stay away from ChatGPT. If you don't know what I'm talking about, message me and I'll send you a couple things to watch and read about, because ChatGPT sucks. Anyways, I prompted new YouTube video. The title is Sometimes the Only Way to Learn is the Hard Way. Give me questions, slightly philosophical, to answer regarding this topic. I'm enjoying these kind of videos. I'll say this first and foremost. My hair looks horrid, but we're just gonna stick with it because it's a Sunday and we don't care. And we're honest and open here. I'll be fixing it throughout the video. Okay, no, I'm gonna make my hair. Wait, here we go. Insecurity is raging. I'm joking, but I don't want that to be distracting me while I talk about this video. So we've got the Jesus cap on, fitting for Easter. Anyways, I'm really enjoying these kind of videos. I'm gonna make this one no cuts from now on. Oh, I just ate a big breakfast. I'm enjoying these. They feel honest. They feel sort of directed at exactly the way that I want to speak and I want to portray myself. And actually shout out Tato Machaba, because he actually sort of reconciled me and said he enjoys what I'm doing and he enjoys the kind of content that I'm posting, because for a while it felt like, oh, these Sunday videos are feeling a little bit too boring, I guess, to follow. And while it's super true to me, and while I'm trying to post content that's true to myself and not for the output that I get, sometimes you question, is this really the right way that I want to run it? So thank you, Tata, for that. And it just goes to show how much a simple message can say, like, yo, I appreciate what you're doing. And I'm not saying everybody send me messages. It would be lovely, it would be nice. But if there's someone in your life that you actually appreciate, send them a message and just tell them that, because it means a lot. It means a lot. And you never know what anyone's going through. You never know how much it can mean to someone. And honestly, what's the worst that can happen? Someone says, thanks, I appreciate you too. But it can either go that way or it could completely change someone's day, which it did for me. So thanks, Tato. A little shout out to you. Anyways, I figured we get stuck right into it. I got some cool questions, and I don't want this video to be too long. So the first question I got is, why do we ignore advice until pain makes it undeniable? And this was a really good way to start it off, because this takes it nice and deep immediately. My answer, as plain and simple as it is ego. I find it, and if I speak from my own experience, I find it so easy to get lost in my own world and get lost in, you don't know what I'm going through, you don't know what I've been through. So who are you to tell me how to live my life? And you know, I fell into a position where it was like, okay, the more mistakes I make, the more I learn, the more I grow. But sometimes you don't have to put your hand in the fire to know that it's hot. Do you know what I mean? There's people who might not have been through the exact same sort of line that you've gone down, or the same destructive patterns, or whatever it is that you've gone down. But there are people who can speak from experience, and it doesn't have to be the exact same fire to know that it's hot. Do you know what I mean? So I think that it all boils down to ego, where it's, you kind of have to detach yourself from your situation, and you have to understand that this situation is not related to you. Do you know what I mean? The problem that you found yourself in is not you, it's a problem, and you have to detach that to understand that this problem might be different to the next person's, but the next person might have been in the same headspace regarding the problem. You know, you and your problems are not one, you're separate. And I think that's something that I had to learn the hard way, because I took everything so extremely personal, and everything that happened felt like it was directed straight at me, and you know, praying and asking, why God, why are you doing this to me? But it's not doing it to me, it's problems, and life on life's terms will continue to give you excuse my language. I've gone about a month without swearing. Anyways, that's annoying. I'm not gonna swear for the rest of the video, I'm saying that. But life on life's terms will continue to give you problems, and you have to deal with stuff as you go along. Like there's no life that will not live, that will live without problems. Do you know what I mean? Life on life's terms kind of sucks. It's kind of horrible. And everybody goes through that. And maybe someone's figured out a way to detach themselves from a problem, but because your ego is so tightly embedded into your head, you're not willing to give that person a listen. Or you are, but underlying it's like, you don't know what you're talking about, you know? Everybody has something good to share. Everybody has something to give. And I think that if we walk through life looking for similarities rather than differences in other people, we'll be able to learn a lot more without having to actually experience the horribleness that we go through. While I believe that going through things and experiencing it teaches you a lot, you don't always have to go through those negative things, because sometimes they can drain you of energy, of life, of money, of peace, of whatever, you know? And sometimes it's not worth it for the lesson that you can learn through understanding other people and advice. So that, I'm actually gonna crash out, bro. My phone just ran out of storage again. So I'm gonna I'm gonna try and do this in the best way possible. Anyway, second question. Why do we repeat mistakes we already know are wrong? I think the underlying theme of all of these answers, I can feel like now, is ego, because we're so driven in, okay, no, this is exactly how it was last time, and despite the fact that I'm making the same mistake, I'm in a different position. You know, I've learned, when you haven't actually learned, and you're just convincing yourself you have because of the ego of wanting something that maybe just isn't for you. You know what I mean? The fact that we repeat the same exact mistakes. There was a good quote I heard that said, insanity is repeating the same thing over and over again, hoping for a different outcome, hoping for a different result. If you do the exact same thing, no matter where you are in your life, you're going to make the same mistakes again. And a mistake is something that can only happen once. If it happens twice, it's a choice. Do you know what I mean? You can't make the same mistake again, because then it's a choice. You know the result of that first one. And so I say it's your ego that carries you through, where it's like, no, I'm gonna strive for this, and I don't care what happened last time. But I think it's a double barrel answer, because I think it also plays a lot on a lack of reflection. which is something that we don't do. We experience something and we experience a mistake, and while it's good to make mistakes, the way that you can turn a mistake from a bad thing into a good thing is actually reflecting on it and reflecting, where exactly did I go wrong? And you have to be able to understand where the mistake actually stemmed from and why it happened, instead of just accepting that it's a mistake. Oh, it's a mistake and I've learned from it. You know, you have to actually understand why it's a mistake in order to grow from it and in order to, you know, progress forward and not to make that same mistake again. It's a lack of reflection. And I think that, you know, the hard way of actually taking in a mistake, sometimes you have to learn the hard way, right? The hardest way to learn from a mistake is to actually go into it and understand why and actually reflect. It's taking time to understand where you went wrong, and that breaks the ego down and that humbles you, and that it almost humiliates you. And humiliation is, and the product of humiliation is being humble. You know, you need to be humiliated in order to be humble. So I'm going to keep it at that, because I think that that's as simple as it is. We repeat mistakes we already know are wrong because of a lack of reflection, a lack of reflection, and ego telling us to continue driving. Question number 3, is avoiding pain actually delaying growth? Now, the immediate answer I wrote down was no. It's human to come to it when you're ready, which I believe in. I believe that avoiding pain is something that we all do. We have to remember that we are a species of survival. Every single decision we take is a decision that sort of supports survival. And that's how it was at the start of mankind in the caveman era, and that's how it is today. We're just trying to survive, and we're trying to survive in a good way now. We're trying to survive in a way that doesn't feel like we're trying to survive, you know? So avoiding pain, I think it's a natural thing that humans go through. It's a natural thing that we experience, you know? Does it delay growth? I don't think so, because sometimes you have to learn the hard way. Sometimes you have to push the pain until it becomes so unbearable that you have to deal with it. Like that first question, why do we ignore advice until pain makes it undeniable? Sometimes you have to experience a certain level of pain in order to want the change. Because if you don't experience that uncomfort of sort of the results of your actions or of your life pattern, you might not actually grow from it. If you attack pain immediately as it hits you, you might not have that necessary thought process that you have to go through in order to understand why. You have to reflect on why you feel the pain, and it has to build to a certain point where you're ready to make a change. Nobody changes their life from the best part of their life, you know? A lot of the times, especially like Christianity, most people find Christ when they're at their lowest, because they have to experience that pain. And that's where you find that's where you find the most growth, is through coming down from here and taking your steps up. Think of it, you can't grow from up here. You don't have too much to grow for. But if you're down here and you're experiencing that pain, and that pain really hurts, and you're avoiding it, that pain grows and grows and grows and grows, and then you build yourself up from there. Do you know what I mean? I think that's my understanding of it. Question number 1, 2, 3, 4. How do you know when to listen versus when to experience things yourself? My answer was you don't. Is it that simple? How do you know when to listen versus when to experience things yourself? I think when you truly want something, you have to go after it. Even if everybody tells you no, even if everyone tells you it's not worth it or whatever, I think that isn't ego. I think when your body truly craves something, when you truly think that this is for you, you have to go through it, because you have to experience those things yourself. And if it's self-destructive, you're going to reach a phase where you understand that this isn't meant for you, and you're going to reach a phase when you this is the time to listen. But I think it has to come in an order. So you experience and then you listen. Because it's difficult to listen to someone else's experience without being able to relate to it yourself. But if you have this relatability of, okay, well, this is where I was and I tried, and this person's also done the same thing, now it's time for me to listen. And that's when you put down your ego, that's when you put down your pride, and that's when you listen and become humiliated in order to become humbled. Being humiliated isn't such a bad thing, because if you take it in the sense of, this is going to humble me, then I think that it's a positive thing to go through. It obviously hurts, and it obviously sucks to be humiliated, but it humbles you in a way that you can't get in any sort of other aspect or in any other way. So I think it comes in this order where you have to experience things first in order to listen, you know? Question number 5. Does the hard way build character or just reveal it? This is a beautiful one. This is a really beautiful one. Because the character's always inside of you. That part of you is not unknown to yourself. It's just something that you have to reveal along the way. Of course it builds character, because experience builds wisdom, and wisdom is only built through experience, which builds character, you know? Full circle. But I think that the hard way builds character. I do, because there's certain parts of yourself that you won't be able to reveal unless you go through it. And so that's character building in its own essence. But essentially all of that was already part of you. It's just about building yourself to a point where you can actually notice it, where you can actually, instead of it revealing, it's actually you understanding and noticing that part of yourself, you know? So I think in order to be able to reveal your character growth, you have to be in a position where you can understand that part of yourself. And then the last question that I have for today is, why do we value lessons more when they cost us something? Why do we value lessons more when they cost us something? That's a thinker. Because it means something. Because we're attached to who we are. Because we're attached to the persona that we carry, to the person that we are, you know? And so when you lose a part of yourself, you appreciate what you have more around you, you know? It sends you into a position of, nothing I have is actually mine, you know? You know, they say the best way to find enlightenment, and this is in Buddhist culture, is detachment from all known things. You know, you have to be able to detach yourself from everything you know in order to value what you actually are experiencing. You know, everything that you have in your life is just an experience. There's nothing that you truly own, because if you can't take it with you to the grave and to wherever you go after you die, or however you believe that, that's not actually truly yours. You know, all the possessions that we have aren't actually ours. Even our body, even our mind isn't ours, because that we don't carry with. The only thing that we own is our soul. So why do we value lessons more when they cost us something? Is the fact that I guess you don't even value the lessons more, you just value life. You know, you just value who you are and what you have in your life, as opposed to lessons. It makes you hold on tighter, and that's the paradox of the world. I spoke to someone who unfortunately lost a friend to suicide. And through the conversation, it was a beautiful one, because he said this is only a nice bit of motivation in order to live his life truly, because not every day is promised. And that's something that's super difficult to wake up to. It's super difficult to wake up to this gratitude. I try to do it as much as possible. But you know, when your life isn't actually truly tested, which it always is, but you know, when it's not truly shown in front of your eyes that it's tested, it's difficult to remind yourself that life is not promised, you know? So I think the human paradox is we have to experience loss in order to appreciate what we have, which sucks. And I'm trying to step away from that and actually just step into each moment with gratitude. But in order to do that, we require presence. And so coming back full circle, sometimes the only way to learn is the hard way. It might come off as selfish to understand that, okay, well, I've just had someone who's close to me who's passed away, and that helps me appreciate life more. And I think that's a part of life. I think that's a really big part of life, to appreciate that what you have is not permanent, that the position you're in today is not given, it's a blessing. That there's people who wake up and can't even roll out of bed without having to have assistance. There's people who haven't experienced a single moment in their life where they can walk on their own 2 feet. There's people who will never hear the beauty of the birds chirping in the morning, or of the water kettle that's boiling your morning coffee, or of their own voice. There's people who don't actually get the blessing to hear their own voice. Think of that. Think of how deep that is. There's people who don't get to hear the beauty of listening to music, of seeing color. There's people who don't get to see their own hands, who don't get to see their own fingerprints, who will never know what it's like to taste food, who will never know what it's like to, there's so many blessings that we step over every single morning as soon as we wake up. And I'm saying we because that's me too. We don't have this, life isn't promised. And sometimes the only way to learn is the hard way. But that's only sometimes. And if you live intentionally, and if you live with this sort of, how do you put it? If you live with this need to experience life on the day-to-day and this intentional lifestyle of just actually living life for what it is, then sometimes you don't need to learn the hard way. Sometimes all you need to do is listen to someone who might remind you. And I'm not saying that I'm the gospel. I'm not saying that, because I need people in my life who can do that to me as well. And I have those people. But if you're walking around your life, surrounded around your own self, if your world surrounds your own head, revolves around yourself, detach from that. Because you're going to come to a point in your life where you realize that you are not as important as you think. You are not actually who you think you are. And all of your memories, where you are today, this is just a mosaic. This is just a painting of how you've lived before. So if you're not happy with the person that you are today, if you're not happy with where you are sat today, and if you feel like you don't have direction or anything of that sort, and you're not living intentionally, this is just a painting of who you have been in the past. Cause and effect. It's that simple. It's cause and effect. I like this to serve as a reminder that sometimes the only way you need to learn is the hard way, for sure. We need to be ground down in order to build ourselves back up. But sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's not the only way. And sometimes you just have to detach yourself from your ego and from your own head and understand that what you have is a blessing. That felt very preachy. I'm speaking to myself as much as I'm speaking to you guys, because I struggle to wake up with gratitude every day. But gratitude makes the world go round, and I think that's the point that I want to leave it off on. Sometimes the only way to learn is the hard way, but sometimes it's not. Thanks for watching. It's been fun. I love this. This has been a super cool 15 minutes. Apologies for the long video, but I think it's entertaining. So yeah, I'll see you guys next week. Thanks for the love. Thanks, support. Thanks for the support. Follow, share, and please let me know your thoughts on this. It's always nice to hear back from the people who mean so much. So all of you mean the world to me. Happy Easter. And yeah, I'll see you guys soon. Golly. Big kisses.